How's it going, guys? So, what if there was a way that you could buy a cryptocurrency that was basically cash? Meaning it didn't change in value, it wasn't a speculative investment, it was transferable and tradable, and it was a perfect way for you to get into the crypto space. So, enter the stablecoin. First off, what is a stablecoin? A stablecoin is technically a utility token built upon another coin's blockchain. The entire goal of a stablecoin is to create a cryptocurrency that isn't volatile and doesn't change in price, being pegged to a fiat currency value. For example, this is predominantly the US dollar. Stablecoins offer the convenience, privacy, and security of crypto whilst offering the stability of traditional, trusted fiat money. Say trusted. Example being one stable dollar should always be one US dollar. Now, there are a couple types of stablecoins, collateralized and algorithmic. These both keep their pegs to its relevant currency in different ways. Before we go into this, Bitcoin was the first cryptocurrency that was actually created to be used as a store of value. Since, however, it's not actually widely adopted, there aren't very many regulations yet, and the price fluctuates a lot. The benefit of a stablecoin is that it is not really classed as a speculative asset, and it's a fantastic way of storing money whilst still having exposure to the crypto space. You don't have to risk ginormous fluctuations like we've seen over the last few days, for example. The flip side of this is it perhaps limits your upside a little bit. Before we go into stablecoins, I'll give you a quick refresher on the differences between centralized and decentralized exchanges. A centralized exchange is one owned like an entity such as Coinbase or Kraken. They allow you to buy and sell cryptocurrencies, but since they are a company, they are technically regulated under the governing body that they answer to. So the UK, the US government, and so on. On the other hand, a decentralized exchange is an exchange that is not run by any one given company. Instead, they are run by code or decentralized autonomous organizations. They can be ran solely through the code of the smart contracts, and changes can be voted on through governance. Their decentralized nature means that government cannot control or regulate or shut them down like they could with a company, for example, such as, I guess you've seen a lot in the news lately, Tether has been under investigation by the SEC. Stablecoins are also beneficial when investing on platforms like Aave or Compound, where you can actually earn really sizable amounts of interest on your crypto assets, and you don't have to worry about fluctuations in price. Like Anchor on Terra, for example, 20% consistently and solidly. Aave can pay you to even borrow stablecoins if you lock up some of your collateral. The same with Anchor. Really, really amazing stuff. So now we've covered what a stablecoin is. Let's dip a toe into perhaps a little bit more technical stuff and talk about how stablecoins work. There are several categories of stablecoins. The first one being a collateralized stablecoin. Now, these are held to peg, so their value is held equivalent to one US dollar by one collateralized stable denomination of a dollar. Another dollar is held in reserve somewhere. Who knows? And this is the trouble that Tether is going through right now, is they're being accused of not holding enough collateral to cover the total minted dollars that they have done. This is a big problem. It's difficult for them to prove. It's difficult for the government to prove that they don't. Another downside of this is there's always bad actors in play. Any company can have any amount of bad eggs working for them, and it only takes a few people before stuff can start going awry internally. The benefit of collateralized stablecoins is that they do generally tend to be a little bit more stable. A final talking point on collateralized stablecoins is that the company who creates them has to lock up so much collateral, for example, that they're actually losing money, right? Because they could be using the collateral that they've got sat in reserve to earn money in one of these platforms. And I think this is the perhaps understanding that that's what some of these companies are doing. Now, the second method used for a stablecoin to maintain its peg that doesn't require collateralization is to use smart contracts to do this work for you. Now, the benefit of this method is that it is very easy to audit. The code is put into place, and anybody can look at this publicly available smart contract code and see whether or not it is viable and whether or not there are any bad lines of code or there's any black hole addresses that funds are being siphoned out of, and so on. The downside of this is that these stablecoins can be a lot more volatile. So let's get into that. So when a stablecoin is controlled by a smart contract, it's generally referred to as an algorithmic stablecoin. Benefit of these is that there are publicly available code. You can look at the code of the smart contracts. And the second one, the main big one being that there are no actual physical assets to be stolen, such as could happen in a private company or a centralized stablecoin. Now, they are subject to the usual ups and downs of smart contracts. So there can be smart contract exploits, there can be hacks, and so on and so forth. The asset used by the smart contract is typically the native token of the network that it's issued on, and these are usually owned by a massive global network of users and supporters of that platform. Smart contract stablecoins are usually much more volatile, simply just to the nature of how they operate, and it's because they manipulate the supply of the coins to adjust the price. So, for example, UST will burn Luna when the price is greater than $1, and it will mint Luna when the price is less than $1. Both centralized and decentralized exchanges will allow you to buy stablecoins, USDC, DAI, Tether, places like Kraken, Coinbase, Gemini. Another method is that you could actually use some of your existing speculative assets and swap them to a stablecoin. This is an excellent strategy for when you are realizing profits, but you don't necessarily want to exit the crypto ecosystem. For example, if I bought Bitcoin at $10,000, the price soared to $50,000, I wanted to realize some of that profit. A really good way of doing this would be to convert some of it or convert my initial investment into a stablecoin. I can then wait for the Bitcoin price to pull back, or I can look at some other alternative projects and platforms that I really like the look of. Okay, now I guess it's time to be a little bit more pessimistic about the future of stablecoins. So whilst we've discussed some of the good traits that they have and the stability they can offer in these very volatile markets, there are a few things that you should perhaps think about before you go ahead and ditch your savings account. First of all is the lack of insurance for stablecoins. When you put your savings into a bank, the FDIC or the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK will cover you up to a certain amount to make sure that any capital that goes missing through an error on the bank's part or an error on the government's part will be covered and returned to you in case of a series of unfortunate events. Stablecoins don't have this advantage yet. There is a growing opportunity, however, to use platforms like Unslashed or Nexus Mutual to help protect your investments in black swan events. You can get peg insurance from Unslashed, for example. If the protocol goes through a black swan event, you'll be insured for them to pay you out a certain amount. These are typically a couple of percent, which doesn't really matter when you're earning 20% on your savings. Another issue is if we look back to collateralization, we will see that there has been in the news a lot lately about the problems that Tether is facing. So there's a lot of concern currently about whether Tether or not is actually backed by true cash. This scares a lot of people, and this could cause the USDT to ultimately become unpegged, which would be a very, very bad day for crypto. Because a collateralized stablecoin is only worth what people think it's worth. And right now that's $1. If that ceases to be the case, then the value of a stablecoin changes, and that has a knock-on effect across the entire space. So in summary, stablecoins are a great advancement in the crypto space. They are reaching out to people who are perhaps a little bit fearful of these new and exciting banking opportunities and finance opportunities. They have an enormous amount of utility. They're bridging the gap between traditional finance and centralized and decentralized finance. These ecosystems and spaces really couldn't operate without stablecoins these days. They're an integral part of everything that we do in this space. And I hope that this video has been useful, at least in some way, to help you understand what stablecoins are, why they're used, how they're issued, and how you can benefit from having some stablecoins in your cryptocurrency portfolio. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate your time. As always, I appreciate your support. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I look forward to bringing you some more content soon. Have a great day, guys.